Hi, Aries. So I have walking pneumonia. That's where I've been. That's why I haven't done any of the videos. That's why I can't actually talk in the videos. I'm going to have to stop this a bunch of times and cough. And then I'll come back to it. You can probably hear me wheezing. Probably not the best way to start your video, but Aries energy, I just want to be straight with you. I have had a really tough time trying to do the videos this time around. I think everything that's going on in the world is getting to me. And yours is the first Halloween video I did, as you can see from the visuals. And I tried really hard to get the message across, what I think of Aries and your character being Captain Tony. I want to say Tony Bennett, but it's Tony Nelson. An astronaut who crash lands in the South Pacific after coming back from a space mission. A bottle rolls towards him, and when he picks up the bottle and opens it, a genie comes out, and that genie will give him whatever he wants as long as his secret is never revealed. Now, I felt like that was really apt for your character, which is why, again, see said visuals. But then I started really thinking about it, and I started thinking about how I wanted to do Wonder Woman years ago. And then instead of doing Wonder Woman, because Wonder Woman was being played by an Israeli, I did the whole video, switched it, and the next day did a new video where I was wearing a kufiyah on my head. And instead of doing Wonder Woman, your character was just a Palestinian woman that, in my mind, was a much better representation of a Wonder Woman. And I almost did the same thing with this. I almost scrapped all the visuals you see right now and put on a kufiyah, and I was going to do the same thing again. But I'm too sick, as you can hear. So my intentions were to do that just because I feel like it is the spirit of your energy to be that strong and that defiant. And especially right now, the time period that we're going through with Pluto moving direct in a few weeks. We have that Mars-Pluto opposition happening. We have Venus moving into Scorpio. Not Venus moving into Scorpio. I'm so sorry. I mean, Venus moving into Capricorn. I'm so sorry. And what it brings up for me in relation to Aries energy is this strength and this creativity that you have that a lot of people try to find the source of. And it's really confusing for them because there seems to be some magical source of power, some genie in a lamp that you have that you can access and create, the things that you want in your life, create the vision you see in your head in your physical reality. The more I think about that concept, the more I realize that in so many ways, you aren't really given credit for the things you do. You individually, personally, very rarely are you taken out of the context of your sign. If anything, I think you guys are the ones that are the most associated with your sign. It's like Aries is supposed to be so cut and dry and easy. Oh, you're an Aries? Oh, you must like to drive fast. You must have a terrible temper. You must be ready to fight. Oh, you guys are so fiery. You guys are so strong. So much of the nuance in the creativity that you have, in the way that you carry yourself, in the way that you deal with people is missed by such a kind of clumsy pop astrology definition of you. This rings more true for me, which is also why I'm glad I didn't scrap it. This idea that there is some power behind you, something outside of you. That's what I mean about being overly associated with your sign. You aren't dope because you're dope. You're dope because you're an Aries. You aren't doing the things you're doing and getting everything done because you have this indomitable will. No, it's because Aries has an indomitable will. I don't like that. And I wonder if you think about it long enough, whether you'll like it, because it's so constrictive, right? the fact is that Tony doesn't use the genie for anything. If you really watch that show, he can have anything he wants. But he doesn't ask for anything. He still lives in the same house in Cocoa Beach. He still has the same job. He still has the same friends. Nothing about his life changes from having a genie around, except that he slowly over time, I guess, falls in love with her. She's in love with him from the beginning. Now, this is a genie who name drops people like Galileo, right? So this astronaut has at his fingertips literally the whole world if he wants it. And yet he doesn't do anything. He doesn't use it. It's used for the most minuscule comedic things. Now, why? Yeah, because it's a TV show. But also, now let's extrapolate that and apply it to the mind of an Aries. You don't want anything for free. You don't want anyone else doing anything for you. If there are a few blanket statements out there that can be used about you that are still filled with nuance, I think that's where I would start. He's such a great character for you because nothing about his life changes. She runs around and causes a bunch of drama and a bunch of mess. And just so you know, I'm doing it by axis this time. So you guys are Tony and Libra is the genie. You guys don't want the genie doing anything for you. The genie runs around and does whatever it does, causing drama in your life that then you mitigate. And, in this particular scenario, that genie is everything around you that you could use to your advantage. You know that moment that you have as an Aries where you look around at a situation and you go, if I wanted to right now, I could use this against you, I could do this. I know this. I know these people. I have this secret under my belt. I have this talent I could use against you. There's so many things that you have in your toolkit that you could produce at a moment's notice and eviscerate people. And yet you don't. And what do you get for it? Grief. You have people playing in your face. You have people saying stupid shit to you. Why? Because on some level they can sense that behind this purported violence is a person who has such a clear heart that even if they have access to things that could damage you, even if they have access to a power that could hurt you, they won't use it. So from mid-October to mid-November, what you feel is that people are pressing you. People want you to press that button. People want you to open that bottle. People want you to use the things that you have been given to your advantage against them. Why? So they can turn around and say, see, I told you that's what this person was really like. I told you this is what was really going on with them. They're not the good person that you think they are, which leads me to my next point. Why are people always trying to go out of their way? And maybe this is just the fucking walking pneumonia and the medication talking, but why are people always trying to go out of their way to prove to somebody else who you really are? Oh, you don't really know that person. I really know that person. I think it's because most of the time, the people who say things like that about you have gotten close enough to you that they've seen what you have access to, and they're frustrated by the fact that you won't use it. They're frustrated by the fact that your clean heart won't let you engage in certain things, even if you have the resources. And the reason they're so irritated by it is because if the shoe was on the other foot and they had access to that stuff, including a genie in a fucking bottle, they'd be using that shit all the time. What we're talking about and what's on display mid-October to mid-November, but all through the winter, is the high level of your integrity. You have been through a lot, and not just in the past 6 months. I'm talking about like the past 8 years. You have been through such a period of trial and tribulation, no matter what age you are. If you're very young still and you're living at home, Look back on almost the last decade of your life and think about how difficult the situation has been. For older people, look at your professional and your financial relationships over the past 8-10 years and how much, how much discord there's been in that arena, right? We have Pluto moving direct now, and it will finally move into Aquarius mid-November, right? So right where this reading ends. What do you need to know about Pluto going direct? All those resources that you have on hand that you've never tapped because you have too much integrity to move that way, those resources become available to you in a way where you're not abusing them. You're not taking advantage of anyone or overpowering anyone with these resources now. They seamlessly integrate into your life as useful concepts, useful money, useful friends, not things. Excuse me. I know I said I was going to cut this up and not cough, but I like being in the flow. All of the things that perhaps over the past decade you have held close to your chest because you just didn't want to use that ammunition. You know, you don't want to bring a fucking AK-47 to a knife fight, right? But what if a time came in your life where that AK-47 reconfigured itself into a small pearl-handled, snub-nosed revolver? It's so funny because it's like an Aries reading, so we're talking about guns, and like Tony is like such a gentle creature, but he's a gentle creature with a fucking gin in a bottle. If he wanted to, he could be the terror of the earth. He could get that bitch who's in love with him to just blink her eyes, and he could be the ruler of the planet, right? That's like the purported premise of the show, right? So what happens when that power that it seems like it's like too big to use? Like, I'm not killing a mosquito with an Uzi. Even though these mosquitoes are bothering the shit out of me, it's not a big enough problem for me to use such weaponry. What if that weaponry was to become usable by integrating it into your life at scale? So up until now, there's been a scale issue where the talents that you possess, the resources that you have, even the violence that you at times can possess, just like everybody else, it's just too big for the problem, which then is really frustrating because it leaves you without an actual solution to your problems. But it's so frustrating because you have this gigantic bank of resources, but they're just too strong to be used. So moving into these last few days of October and into late November, the potency of those resources, that weaponry, if you will, is not lessened. The potency isn't lessened. The usability is increased, right? So it may look like a pearl-handled, snub-nosed revolver, but it still shoots like a fucking AK-47. And that's a big part of the change now that comes with Pluto moving into Aquarius. You don't have to be as cautious with how you put yourself across. You can play it much bigger now because your defenses are usable. A lot of times you play it smaller because you know that your resources are nuclear and you can't use them, right? All you've got is the fucking nuclear option over there. But now that these resources have at scale integrated into your life, and they continue to do so from now until, I would say, early March, you're just so much more functional in every area of your life because your guard is up in the most appropriate way. You're not going to be the bad guy if somebody steps to you and says something stupid to you or, crosses your boundaries. you're not the one who's going to come back at them with 10 times as much rage, and then you end up looking like the bad guy, which is probably why so many of you even stopped engaging and stopped standing up for yourself and stopped fighting. You can engage in activity that's much more brave, creatively, personally, romantically. You can take much bigger risks because your armor fits your body now. Your weaponry fits your body. If something happens to you, you will not be the one that creates a disproportionate response. If, God forbid, somebody does something to you, somebody hurts your feelings, somebody takes something from you, whatever it is, because you're being vulnerable, because you're being open, you're being creative, you're being loving, you're taking chances. If in that period, things that you have not done for a while, you have been stuck, you have been suffocated, you have been stifled, you have been held, right? Whether it's through a marriage, through a bad parent, through the law, through a job that you hate, whatever it is that's been constricting you, that you couldn't cut the binds of, because then you'll be criticized for the fucking scissors being too sharp that cut your ropes, right? Now, that same person who has been stifled creatively, stifled emotionally, in a lot of cases, stifled physically. A lot of you are just now recovering from really terrible illnesses as well. Okay? So the fact that you can now go back into the world and be open, be vulnerable, be creative, be honest about your feelings in a romantic situation, take the plunge with someone if you want to, start a new business, start a new venture, be honest with the people in your life that have traversed your boundaries from day one, and you have never said anything to them because you're not dropping a nuclear bomb on a mosquito, right? All of that, it doesn't apply to you anymore. Pluto moves into Aquarius and sweeps this board clean. You can go after the things you want. You can create the things you want. You can be as open as you want. You can talk to people about the way they've treated you, about the way they've continued to treat you, without ending up the bad guy. I really want you to understand. I think I'm going to have to start the visuals over, but now that I'm in the zone, I tried to do this like 15 times already, but I just couldn't fucking breathe. So now that you're back in that place that like some of you haven't been in since, like if you're very young, then some of you haven't been in this place since you were really little, like small children. Those of us who are a bit older, look back into your early teenage years or into your early 20s, and you'll see that there was this optimism, but it was propped up by really good luck, right? So that feeling of I'm safe enough to get back out there, to really put myself out there in a way that I'm not even thinking about being vulnerable or hurt. That's how vulnerable I am. It's not even a question. I'm going to say what I want. I'm going to create what I want. I'm going to go after what I want. I'm going to tell that person I want to get married. Whatever it is. The way that you're able to go about it now, and even if somebody comes back with something you don't like, the way that you are able to respond proportionately, where they still feel what you need them to feel, and you walk away vindicated, not being the bad guy. You see, a lot of times people will go out of their way to use you and abuse you because they know how easy it is to make you the villain. They are completely aware of what they're doing. You may think that they're not aware because you have integrity, because you have a clean heart, because you are like a child when it comes to your this innocence that you have. If there's any blanket statement I would make about Aries, is that they have the utmost integrity, and it's based on a childlike innocence. You're like a really good kid. When you meet a really good kid, and you're just like, oh, what a good kid. You know, they make your heart smile. When you meet a really good kid, when you see a kid being really good to their mom or something, you know what I'm talking about? Or like really good to like an old person, a stranger they don't know. The way that it makes your heart swell when you see an innocent, like there's no stain on you. You know, that clearness of heart, that clarity that you have in your conscience, when you see that in action, it just inspires people. It makes people love you. It makes people want to be you, you know, a lot of times. But that level of clarity and vulnerability as you get older becomes such a burden because people use it to hurt you. People understand that because you're coming from such a clear, clean place, that when they fuck you over, when they lie to you, when they deceive you, when they betray you, when they steal from you, the response is going to go crazy and it won't even matter what they did. So they know that they can take all the liberties they want with you because when the time comes, and you have to be judged in front of people, friends, family, whatever it is, family court, whatever you're involved in, all they have to do is set you off. And no matter what originally happened, you will be in the wrong. That stops. And nobody's getting the memo. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Nobody's getting the memo. Nobody knows that this switch has happened. Remember in Fight Club where he says the switch over happens and nobody notices and things go on as if nothing happened, like when Tyler completely takes over his personality. Nobody else realizes that you have elevated to a level emotionally that you can go back to being as clear-hearted, vulnerable, honest, open with everyone as you want to, because when they take that as a sign of weakness and do what they do to put you in an untenable situation, to use your reactions and your life energy, your fire against you, they're going to realize that that fire is so measured. It's laser-like. It'll cut them exactly where they need to be cut, and the rest of them looks like nothing ever touched them. They can look around. You know, when you start getting upset, the way people start looking around at other people, like, oh, can you believe they're saying that? No one is paying attention. No one gets to play victim with you anymore. Anyone who has abused you, do you understand why I wanted to wear the kufiya? Anyone who has abused you, anyone has kept you under, anyone who has been drowning you with one hand and crying for help with the other, now they try that shit with you again now. Because Pluto's direct, baby. That's it. Mars opposing Pluto. The way these people are in for the shock of their lives. Nobody will believe their victim routine anymore. And I don't want to make light of this because a lot of you have really suffered from people impinging on you, abusing you, using you, and then making you the villain. So many people, that's their entire MO with you. And these are people, like, they gaslight you. These are people you love. These are people that use you. These are people related to you. These are people, they're your partners. With some, God forbid, it's your kids. And you may feel like for 8-10 years, you've been in like a haze. Where it's like, I can't say nothing. Every time I say something, I'm just the bad guy. No one sees what's happening to me because when I try to stand up for myself or the fire in me comes out to be like, no, this isn't right. When my integrity flares up, nobody can see anything else. All they see is the bomb that is me going off and that's it. Nope. That's not happening anymore. I'm going to give you an example. This is a personal example. It's some tea. The past like month and a half that I've been gone, right? I kept feeling like somebody was like looking through my shit. Have you ever had that feeling like when you could tell, even if you're not around, that someone's like touching your shit? I kept having this feeling like somebody was looking through my shit, touching my shit. 2 days before I left to come back here to make the Halloween videos, of course, I didn't know I was going to fucking catch pneumonia. 2 days before I got back, I had a dream that somebody was looking through my shit. And I was like, okay. All right, got you. I come back. Things seem a little out of place, but I'm still like, okay, whatever, like I have family that lives in the building. I have a friend who looks after my plants. Like, things get moved around, whatever, it's fine. But I knew something was off. So I've been sick for a few days now. Things get a little bit not so pleasant. I'm like, I gotta change these sheets. I'm sweating through my clothes. Like, it's not cool. I couldn't really do anything. I couldn't function for like 2-3 days. I took insane amounts of vitamin C and black seed oil and oregano oil. Like, I've been doing all the shit. Okay, so I feel a little bit better, but you see where I'm at. So yesterday, I'm like, fuck this. Like, I need to change these sheets. I need to, like, everything, just get everything off this bed. Like, I don't like it, I pulled a fitted sheet from the fucking corner, bitch. And why did a little stone, like a little like stone that you put on Indian clothes, like, how Indian clothes will have like a bunch of stones on them and shit? Why a little stone popped out of the fitted sheet? And I was like, oh my God. Then I started really looking around. Okay, so somebody had been through my drawers. Somebody had been through my closet. Somebody had been looking through all my shit, bitch. Okay. Then I talked to my housekeeper, Maria, the same day. And I'm like, yo, Maria, like, like somebody's been laying in my bed wearing like Indian clothes. She was like, Amber, I don't know what to tell you, because I came in here the other day and I was kind of freaked out because I'm the one that has the key to this place. I don't want to get blamed for anything, but somebody's been in here. She said, I changed your sheets after you left. I came back to change, just to look at the place and make sure everything's okay, because I know you're coming the day after. And she said, bitch, I had to change the sheets again because one of your sheets was the top sheet underneath the comforter was crumpled up with yellow stains on it all over in the corner. I was like, what? And she looked at me in Dominican. And if I grew up with Dominicans, I don't know if you know any Dominicans, depending on where you are in the world. But when I tell you clean is a different kind of clean with Dominicans. Like, it's like you could eat a 4-course meal off the floor kind of clean. So when I said, what? She said, She said, I know it wasn't you. And I was like, me? Bitch, no, it wasn't me. So I called my parents. And I'm like, yo. Now, Aries, Mars, Aries, Venus, Aries, South Node. Okay? That's me. Now, you know what that means. Just everything I just been telling you. You know what that means. I wanted to pick up the phone and be like, who the fuck has been bringing some fucking whore to my house? I'm going to catch everybody by their neck who has my fucking keys. Like, instead, I call my parents. And, they just lost their son. They just lost their youngest kid, like, in January. God rest his soul. So I don't even want to say nothing to them because, like, I can't even imagine what they're going through. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to fucking stress them. I call them, and they're so used to these fucking Aries placements. And my mom's an Aries, so it's like she could feel the rage in me, And I just, bitch, I couldn't do it. But when I tell you that these transits are real, when I tell you astrology is fucking real, I couldn't do it. I was so measured. I couldn't even believe it myself. Like, I'm too attached to my stuff. I'll admit it. I'm too attached to my stuff. I love my stuff. You know what I mean? For me to not react to some fucking gross heifer being in my fucking bed. Yo, I told him, I said, listen, somebody who wears really fancy Indian clothes has been rolling around in my bed. And I don't know who brought her in here because, 2-3 people got the key. But, and I could see my mom over FaceTime. I could see her brace herself. I saw it in her soul. I saw her soul go, okay, get ready. Get ready. She about to fucking unleash now because she got a point, because she in the right. And that's the thing. We don't do anything until we're in the right. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm so sorry. But it didn't matter that I was right. It didn't matter. You know what was more important? It was more important to me to use my power wisely than it was to make a fucking point, than it was to be right, than it was to judge. It didn't matter to me. The judgment is it wrong? It's fucking foul is what it is. Fucking trifling is what it is. But me using my power constructively, even when I'm completely in the right, was so much more important to me than what was going on. So what did I do? I told my mom. She braced herself like, oh boy, here it comes. It's about to be fucking World War III in our house. But no, why would I do that to you? It's not your fault. My mom ain't fucking some dumb bitch in my bed. You feel me? I said, Mom, don't even worry about it. I just wanted to tell you, I'm going across the street to the locksmith and I'm going to get all the locks changed. And this lady, I mean, the sigh of relief was so palpable, like her whole body relaxed. Went over to my parents' house, talked to them, chilled. We didn't even really talk about it for more than a couple of minutes. And I'm telling you that this, even 6 months ago, would have been full on war in our family. Nah, because, and this is what I mean, the reason I give you that example is not just because I want to tell you my tea. I give you that example because this is how you're moving now. So when that ended up happening, I got my locks changed, alhamdulillah. My parents are happy. They didn't get stressed out. And whoever it is that's been coming in here has no idea the locks are changed. So the camera I'm about to put outside the door, you know what I want to do with my power? I want to see the look on these motherfuckers' faces when they try to put the key in the door to try to come back in here. Right? I want to see the look on their faces when they can't get back in here. I want to take that video and put it in front of whoever needs to see it and be like, is that your man's? Is that your man's at my door trying to fuck another bitch? Okay? So what I mean is your potency, the reason I bring this up is because I don't want you to think that any of this means that your potency is lessened. That pearl-handled snub-nosed revolver is stronger than the AK-47 because that bitch is discreet. Okay? That's what I'm trying to tell you. You are more powerful now because your discretion and your moderation makes the weaponry you have twice as lethal, 100 times as lethal if you can really control your temper. Right? So this is what I'm getting at. Controlling your temper makes you stronger. Your temper, your anger is not the source of your power. Your integrity, the clarity of your heart. I don't know why this is making me so emotional. I just really admire you guys. I don't admire a lot of people, but people who are childlike, people who are just wide-eyed to the world, just open, honest, everything is right here in front of you. Like, it's so beautiful. It's something to emulate. Those are the people that I admire. My mom and I have so many differences. Like, you couldn't believe how different we are as people. But my admiration for who she is as a person has always been on 100, regardless of how she treated me, because I see how she moves. I see how she moves in the world, right? So what I'm saying to you is that your power is enhanced. Your temper, your rage was never the source of your power. That JEANIE doesn't do dick for Tony. All she does is get in the fucking way. Actually, after watching a few episodes to prep for doing the costume part, I got so fucking sick of her. I was like, shut up. Shut up. Maybe you can see it in my face. Like, just shut the fuck up. Because you're just causing problems. He doesn't need you. Actually, bitch, you need him. Okay? So, how do we tie this together? Anyone in your life who has impressed upon you that they are the source of your power, they are the ones giving you it. I did this for you. I made you. I paid for this. Whatever I has been held over your head for the past almost decade. You've always known that it wasn't them. You've always been very aware of yourself and your power. But the fact that these people got to talk shit for this long and throw it in your face, and you couldn't really do anything about it, because what are you going to do? Start a war? Now, they realize on their own that they always needed you and you never needed them. You never needed them. They made up this entire story in their head and then perpetuated it upon you. They made you believe all these years that somehow you owed them something, that they were the source of your power. Maybe because they were the ones who are like, calm down, calm down. Maybe they were the ones tempering you. Maybe they were the ones trying to act, under the guise of, I'm giving you good advice. Maybe they were the ones who were like, you're too extra. You need to be a little bit more. Whatever they were doing that they made you feel like they were doing it for your benefit. They're here for you. They're looking out for you. I'm just trying to help you, is what people just say to an Aries before an Aries punches them in their face. I'm just trying to help. All of those people realize that you have been helping them and carrying them this whole time. And the only reason they didn't know it is because you have too much pride and integrity to ever say that shit out loud. My mother has helped so many people in the world. You will never hear her talk about it. So many people I know, their entire life has been set up by this woman. They would not, they're generations from now. They still owe my mom for what she did for them, for bringing these motherfuckers here, setting them up, getting them homes, getting them jobs, everything. She'll never bring it up. She'll never talk about it. Okay? So all of those people in your life, and all of those same people act like they're doing her a favor. That's the fucked up part. And I'm sure it's the same with you. All of the people in your life that have imposed upon you, that have made you feel in one way or another that they were responsible for your success, your vitality, your beauty, your money, whatever it is, your relationship. Now, as Pluto moves, as it enters Aquarius, they get the wake-up call from hell, because when they figure out how much more you need them than they need you, when they realize that you actually essentially never needed them, if there is something pop astrology wise that applies to all Aries across the board, it's that you don't need anybody. And I think that people have such a hard time with that they just don't focus on it. They would rather focus on the parts of you that actually make you seem needy, make you seem unstable. The truth is, you never needed anybody. You can, in fact, do this by yourself. No man is an island, and you're not an island, but you are the leader of the fucking pack. You are the leader. The leader don't need nobody. Everybody needs the leader. But when the leader has had their hands tied by the banal politeness of society, let's say, they can't lead. They can't lead because they can't feel their own power, because that power is being siphoned, diminished, twisted. That power is being taken by others who say, I'm just trying to help. I've always helped you. I've always been there for you. No, you've been using me. This whole time, my vitality has been your fuel. Get back in that fucking bottle and shut the fuck up. I will let you know when I need you, which is going to be never. Stop causing fucking problems, turning people into dogs and all kinds of other shit because you want my attention. Now I'm talking about the TV show. Stop creating havoc in my life, so then I have a reason to need you. You see how people work? With you on a deep level, they know that you don't need them. So they create situations that will end up making you need them. You got it? That dynamic ends, and the door on that closes mid-November. Steel shut, welded shut. That's it. It's over. So now, the task you have in front of you is to reimagine your life with that holster on, with that gun in your back, with that weapon on your arm. You don't need to hide your weaponry anymore. You don't need to be careful with your responses. This is happening on an unconscious level for you. There are no conscious changes, only recognition that has to happen on your part. You don't need to fix anything. You never did. You never did. Kids, for the most part, They're pure. They're wonderful. You never needed to do anything, but you do need to recognize the changes that are happening within you. And you need to recognize who in your life has been playing this fucking genie in a bottle game with you. Because those people have had you dependent on them while they have been siphoning your energy and being parasitic with you the whole time. I'm so sorry this is late. I have been kicking myself since I got back to New York for getting sick. And I know that that's not healthy. But I've just felt like shit for not being able to get you the information you need in a timely fashion. And I kept blaming myself and being like, why won't my body cooperate? And now today I wake up and I understand why. Because the message I had to deliver to you, I couldn't deliver until I saw the change within myself. Sometimes I do feel like you guys think that I don't like you, or that I don't love you, or that I don't understand you, and it's nothing like that. It's just that you're such instinctual beings that until my instincts kick in, I have nothing to say. I don't want to be that person that just says nothing for 30 minutes and then you finish watching and you're like, did she even say anything, or was that just a bunch of fucking words? I don't know how to be that way. I wish sometimes that I could be. But this, again, it's all those Aries placements. My integrity won't fucking let me. And I struggle because I try to fight against my nature. And that's why I bring it up, because you don't have to fight against your nature. Don't do that to yourself. What's going to come out of you when it's the right time, whatever you're involved in creatively. I also get emotional when I'm sick, so I'm sorry. Whatever you're involved in and you feel like you need to push yourself, like, I need to get this done. There are people that are counting on me. I need to do this. Don't betray your instincts. Don't betray your integrity, because I promise you, if you wait on it and you don't rush it, what will come out of it will be gold. I promise you that. But you got to get out of your own way. You can't judge yourself. You can't pressure yourself. You can't get mad at yourself, because I've done all that. I did it for days. Since I've been back in New York, I've just been kicking myself. And there's a part of me that's like, Umber, you can't breathe. Chill out. And it's like, no. But I don't want them to think that I don't love them. I don't want anyone to ever feel abandoned, And I just been struggling. The way the scenes are cut up in the visual that you're watching right now is because I stopped every 10 seconds to cough up a lung. But then last night something happened. I mean, yesterday morning that thing happened with the sheets and the locks or whatever. But last night, excuse me, last night, for some reason, I used the red light mask, and I think I did the wrong thing because it brought all the blood into my sinuses. I was like, oh, fuck, I feel so much worse. Fucking hell. So I couldn't sleep at all after that, right? Because I couldn't breathe. So I'm just looking for something to watch, and I'm so picky. I don't want to watch anything, right? Because I do believe a really great musician one time told me, the more bad music you listen to, the more you lose the ability to recognize good music. And since he said that to me, I've just burned it into my brain. So I try not to watch things that are shitty, or that I would consider shitty, even though that in and of itself is a fun sport. Yes, I will be watching Megalopolis. But I couldn't find anything to watch, and I couldn't sleep, and I couldn't really function because I can't fucking breathe. And I saw that on Netflix they had Scarface. I was like, fuck it, man. It's that kind of night, bro. Let's do it. And man, oh man, as soon as I turned it on, I was like, this motherfucker's such an Aries. The energy, man, it inspired me. It inspired me because the thing about that movie that I think I never realized before is that movie is all about timing. That movie's all about timing. Tony, and his name is Tony too. Look at that. That's no, but then it would have been like me putting a bunch of salt on a black table with an AK next to me and being like, come on, motherfucker. Next year, inshallah. I realized that Tony doesn't fight his circumstances. Wherever he is in the moment, now we're talking about Tony Montana. Tony doesn't fight his circumstances. Wherever he is, first he's with the cops, he's chill, he's making jokes with them, he don't give a fuck. They ask him about his prison tattoos, he's like, yeah, whatever. Then they put him in that like camp. He's cool. He's over there playing basketball, fucking chilling. Then he gets out. Then he's a gangster. He's cool. He's chilling. That it's like every turn of his life, he just waits for the timing to be right. When he's dancing, when he first meets Michelle Pfeiffer, Elmira, when he first meets her on the dance floor, remember? He's like, Hancock, you sound like a bird. Remember? She said, I'm not your baby. Don't call me baby. I'm not your baby. And then she's like, if you were the last man on earth, I wouldn't fuck you. Remember? And what does he say? What does he say? He says, give it time. You got to give me some time. Boom. It clicked for me. I woke up this morning. I was like, shit, man. If you rush, you only make yourself miserable because you're not going to move until it's time. You're not going to have that idea until it's time. You're not going to meet that person until it's time. You're not going to create that great work of art until it's time. You're not going to be able to make this video and do a bomb-ass voiceover and be honest with these people that you love so much until it's fucking time. You need to understand something first before you can move. Your desire to move can be so strong. I understand it from the inside. But that doesn't move the needle of time. Time brings with it its own knowledge. Time opens doors at its own pace. And you can back up and run at that door with your horns and try to break it down all you want. It never opens. Your force doesn't accomplish anything. So what is that force and that will for? What are these horns for? If they're not meant to knock down doors that time is deemed they're not ready to open for you yet, what do you have those horns for? What is this pressure inside you that builds up? What is it for? What is it supposed to be used for? And I think the answer is that your mission here this time around, having been born in Aries sun, Aries moon, Aries rising especially, your mission here is to take that pressure, take that drive, take those horns, and create something so beautiful and so nuanced and so reliant on things happening the way that they should. Your horns are meant to be modulated by faith. You have the faith that at the right time, the right thing will come to you. And when it's the right time and those things come to you and you have what you need, then you take it and you run. Those horns are not meant to knock things over. Those horns and that speed you have is meant to take you when you have everything you need forward to the places that you want to go through open doors. You don't have to knock anything over. You don't have to knock another ram in the head. You don't need to push a groove through life to get where you want to go. Maybe it's been that way so far. But Pluto moving is so monumental. I think that because astrology is so common now, I don't think we're actually getting how deep this is. The way that you approach life in the next few weeks changes completely. And all those people, bringing it back to your character here, all those people that have been sitting around all these years saying, oh, it's just a genie. This is a genie in the bottle. She's not really that special. She's just an Aries. When you display the power, the creativity, the strength, without a fucking bottle in sight, without a genie in sight, you are going to shock people to their core. And the only people that will understand, the only people that will stick by you, the only people that will make your heart happy are the people who've always been able to look through you, always known what you were, and always loved you for no other reason. Not for your horns, not because you can knock down doors, not because you can do so much for so many people, not for how useful you are. They've always only loved you just because. For no reason. Just because they see something in you. Like I said, when you see a kid you don't know help an old person, you're like, oh, what a good kid. They've only ever loved you for you. And that's a beautiful life. Pluto moves in November. And those doors you've been trying to knock down, they all open. Just on their own. And then speed is fun. Not speed, speed. Your speed. You're running, not speed. Don't do speed. Then your speed is fun. Then running as fast as you can is just a game. Then it's just, when you're opening up a car on the highway for the first time, let's see what this baby can do. You're not running to save somebody. You're not, trying to get somewhere to do something real fast for somebody who needs it. You're not being useful. You're on your own road. It's your own doors that are opening. You're using your fire, your will, your horns, your determination for no other reason but to follow your path. And it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I'm proud of you. Because I know how hard it's been. For so many of you, emotionally or physically, you have come very close to death in the past few years. I know how tough it's been. And yet here we are. And the wins, baby, the wins, the freedom, the understanding that comes next. It's so beautiful. It matches you perfectly. It goes perfectly with you. And it's what you deserve. Now you just gotta wait for everybody else to catch up. Now you got your own version of a bunch of douchebags standing at your door trying to key in your door that don't work. Because they don't realize that the locks have changed, baby. These doors only open for me now. Not for anybody else. It's my road. It's my stuff. It's my house. It's my dreams. It's my soul. It's my heart. You don't get to just open it up whenever you want. Take what you want and leave a mess. Locks are changed. Genie's back in the bottle. You never needed anything but yourself and God. And all the people that made you think you needed them, they needed you. You needed them. They needed you. They're going to come back. And they're going to come back on their knees. Because as Pluto moves and you have your doors open and your destiny writes itself, every single person that has been living off of your fire and your energy loses it. And when they lose it, they realize that they have been benefiting off of a substance that they can't create, and they need it like they need air to breathe. When I tell you people are going to be crawling back to you, crawling back, begging you to forgive them for the years they have spent doing whatever they've done. And you can choose. You can choose to be gracious. You can choose to laugh. You can choose to let it go. I think what you're going to do is just be too busy to notice. Because your life is starting again. And I don't know anyone who likes a fresh start more than you. So, happy Halloween. This was my brother's favorite holiday. And I'm so glad I did your video first. Because my brother's favorite person in life was my mom. And he's the best person I ever met. You know, he was my best friend. And it makes sense that my mom was his best friend, not me. Because to love you is easy. It's the easiest thing in the world. And it's about time that you realize that. So just remember, anyone who's made you feel hard to love, anyone who's made you feel like you were too much, they just didn't know any better. They had no idea what you really were. But they're about to find out. Maybe you're about to find out too. Maybe you don't realize either yet. But I do. Anyone looking at the stars does. Anyone who's loved you from day one, they've been waiting for this for you. They want it so bad for you. And that's what I leave you with this month, this term, this Scorpio season. I want for you that which is so good and so abundant that you never have to ask anybody for anything ever again.
Unknown caller.
I love you. Happy Halloween.
From Trenton, New Jersey. It is reported that at 8:50 p.m. a huge flaming object, believed to be a meteorite, fell on a farm in the neighborhood of Grover's Mill, New Jersey, 22 miles from Trenton. The flash in the sky was visible within a radius of several hundred miles, and the noise of the impact was heard as far as a special mobile unit to the scene. And we'll have our commentator, Carl Phillips, give you a word picture of the scene as soon as he can reach there from Princeton.
Again, out at the Wilmot Farm, Grover's Mill, New Jersey. Professor Pearson and myself itself doesn't look very much like a meteor. At least not the meteors I've seen. It looks more like a huge cylinder. Has a diameter of, what would you say, Professor Pearson?
What's that?
What would you say, what's the diameter of this?
About 30 yards.
About 30 yards. The metal on the sheath is, well, I've never seen anything like it. The color is sort of yellowish white. It's curious. Spectators now are pressing close to the object in spite of the efforts of the police to keep them back. Getting in front of my line of vision. Would you mind standing one side, please? While the police pushing the crowd back. Here's Mr. Wilmot, owner of the farm here. He may have some interesting facts to add. Mr. Wilmot, would you please tell the radio audience as much as you remember of this rather unusual visitor that dropped in your backyard? Step closer, please. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Wilmot.
Well, I was listening to the radio.
Closer and louder, please.
Pardon me?
Louder, please, closer.
Yes. I was listening to the radio and kind of drowsy. That professor fellow was talking about Mars, so I was half chosen and half...
Yes, Mr. Wilmot, and then what happened?
Well, as I was saying, I was listening to the radio, kind of halfway.
Yes, Mr. Wilmot, and then you saw something.
Well, not first off. I heard something.
And what did you hear?
A hissing sound like this. Kind of like a force. I reckon I was kind of riled.
Car's headlights throw an enormous spotlight on the pit where the object's half buried. Now, some of the more daring souls now are venturing near the edge. The silhouettes stand out against the metal sheet. One man wants to touch the thing. He's having an argument with the policeman. The policeman wins. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's something I haven't mentioned in all this excitement, but it's becoming more